네, 여러분 안녕하십니까? 좋은 아침입니다. 오늘 사회를 맡은 서울시의회 아나운서 조주경입니다. 네, 오늘 토론회는 글로벌 문화 영향력 지수에 대한 주제로 국내외 전문가 및 관계자 여러분을 모시고 의견 수렴 및 토론을 위해서 마련한 자리입니다. 오늘 이렇게 바쁘신 중에도 불구하고 이렇게 참석해 주신 모든 분들께 진심으로 감사의 인사를 전합니다. 그럼 지금부터 글로벌 문화 영향력 지수 정립을 위한 정책 토론회를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 네, 그럼 오늘 토론회에 참석해주신 내빈 여러분을 한 분 한 분씩 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 최우정 서울특별시의회 의장님은 금일 외부 일정으로 서면으로 축사 인사를 해주셨고요. 오세훈 특별시장님도 금일 외부 일정으로 축사 인사해주셨습니다. 그리고 김춘권 어제 뵀던 의원님도 금일 외부 일정으로 서면 인사를 전해주셨습니다. 주제 발표자와 토론자를 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 좌장으로 BK안 ICNPM 소장님 참석하셨습니다. 발제자로 이동수 국제예술경영연맹 부회장님 참석하셨습니다. 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다. 네, 다음은 지정토론자로 임홍명 국제예술경영연맹 회장님 참석하셨습니다. 다음은 리차드 말로니 국제예술경영연맹 부회장님 함께하고 계십니다. 마르타 에레로 국제예술경영연맹 부회장님 함께하고 계십니다. 앤서니 폴드 리티스 국제예술연맹 상임이사님 함께하고 계십니다. 네, 고맙습니다. 그럼 장자오시아 국제예술경영연맹 상임이사님 함께하고 계십니다. 각자 언어가 다른 관계로 지금 누가 누군지 잘 모르고 계시는 것 같은데요. 네, 함께하고 계신 분 한 분 한 분씩 또 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 질 드모네 국제예술경영연맹 상임이사님 함께하고 계십니다. 네. 이방준 국제예술경영연맹 이사님 참석하셨습니다. 랄프 베서스트 국제예술연맹 이사님 참석하셨습니다. 네, 그럼 서울특별시 오세훈 시장님의 영상 축사 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
여러분 반갑습니다. 서울특별시장 오세훈입니다. 오늘 글로벌 문화영향력 지수 정립을 위한 정책 토론회가 이렇게 열리게 된 걸 정말 진심으로 축하드립니다. 이 자리 마련해 주신 서울시의회 환경수자원위원회 김춘권 의원님 그리고 국제예술경영연맹 관계자 여러분들께 깊이 감사드립니다. 또 온라인으로 함께하고 계시는 모든 분들 환영합니다. 요즘 전 세계가 문화의 힘으로 경쟁하기 시작했습니다. 문화는 이제 도시의 매력과 국가의 신뢰를 결정짓는 가장 중요한 자산이 되고 있습니다. 최근 서울을 배경으로 한 K-POP 데몬헌터스가 전 세계적으로 큰 반향을 일으켰습니다. 그동안 서울을 가꾸고 문화적인 매력을 끌어올리기 위해 쏟아온 노력들이 결실을 맺고 있다는 생각에 참으로 반가웠습니다. 지난해 IMF는 그동안 주관적 영역이라고 여겨왔던 소프트 파워를 문화와 지식, 제도 같은 지표로 수치화해서 발표했습니다. 그 결과 한국이 세계 1위를 차지했습니다. 하지만 더 중요한 건 순위보다 그 의미입니다. 문화의 영향력을 데이터와 지표로 객관적으로 평가하려는 시도가 본격적으로 시작됐다는 점입니다. 오늘 이 토론회가 그 흐름을 이어받아서 서울의 문화적 영향력을 객관적으로 진단하고 공정하고 투명한 기준을 세우는 뜻깊은 시간이 되기를 기대하겠습니다. 서울시는 앞으로도 문화가 도시의 품격을 높이고 세계 시민이 함께 누릴 수 있는 가치로 확장될 수 있도록 여러분과 함께 지혜를 모아나가도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 영상 숙사 전해주신 오세훈 시장님 감사합니다. 오늘 토론회는 유튜브 생중계로도 함께하고 있습니다. 행사 시작에 앞서서 참석 내빈 여러분들의 사진 촬영이 있겠습니다. 내빈들께서는 이 앞쪽으로 나와주시기 바랍니다. 그리고 발제자와 토론자분께서는 자리에 앉아주시고 사진 찍겠습니다.
앞으로 나오셔가지고 사진 같이 찍으시면 될 것 같습니다. 네네.
아, 네.
여기 먼저 토론자 이름 적혀주시면
아,
되고요. 서서
네, 알겠습니다. 여기 아무도 없어요. 네. 함께하고 계신 여러분들도 뒷자리 일어서서 기념사진 같이 함께 해주셔도 좋겠습니다. Take a seat, please. 네, 오늘 토론에 참석해주신 여러분들도 뒷자리에 서서 사진 찍어주셔도 되니까요. 편하게 나오셔서 사진 찍으시면 좋겠습니다. 기념하는 사진 촬영이니까 함께 해주시면 고맙겠습니다. 교수님도 Please close your. Yes. Thank you. 네, 사진이 예쁘게 나오기 위함이니까요. 양해해 주시기 바랍니다. 어제 상 받으러 왔을 때보다 미소가 좀 부족한 것 같습니다. 좀 활짝. 네, 서울시 화이팅 한번 갈까요? 서울 화이팅. 화이팅.
아니면 사랑해요.
Small heart, please. Yes. 네, 감사합니다. 이상으로 개회식은 모두 마치겠습니다. 그럼 지금부터 ICN PM BK 안 소장님이 좌장을 맡아서 토론회를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
지금 여기 Yeah, we got to sit back. Yeah, back in the seat, and then. 이거 책상 움직이지를 않게 무빙 하기로 했잖아. 하면서 나중에 하기로 혹시 무빙 하시는 아니 무빙을 아니 내가 지금 앞에 나가서. Welcome our session. Okay, it might be today a kind of relaxed, sit back, and nobody going to record. Nobody remember what we're doing here today, right? So whatever you said, you want to discuss, maybe we can discuss about it. But it might be, it's going to really be sales pitch, so it might be changing your life probably in our course. So I've been thinking about it. Yesterday we've been discussing so many things, role, our visions, our futures and everything. So I think I'm personally thinking about that might be something what we're talking about today is index. Might be connect to each other, really make it happen, right? So next 2 hours, well, we're gonna already cut it in half. So let me cut it a little short. Maybe we're gonna little break, and then we're gonna do a side tour or whatever it is, right? So if you guys are really good, probably I'm gonna really make it short as possible, right? Make it, we can cut it at maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours, okay? So what we're gonna do is, as my moderator, and I'm gonna give you a little bit presentation background, what we're talking about it, and then briefly I have the material I have here is a little short session on and the videotape, which is, I made it about last night. See, can you see that? It's kind of last night. So it's free to what we'd like to talk about it in English, of course. And I have another version, of course. If you want to ask me something, it might be to help for you when you go back to the home. So we watch you about 6 minutes video, what we'd like to do. And then I'm going to brief, maybe just 10, 15 minutes, how they trying to do that. So what is really GCI is all about, okay? And then we all discussing in the front, we'll freely discuss about what we're gonna do about it. Okay, let's load it for the videotape first, see overall.
You've seen it happen, right? A song or a movie from halfway across the world just completely takes over.
Yeah.
And it feels like this huge win
Organizing.
for that country's culture. But, you know, behind all the hype and the streaming numbers, there's this really fascinating kind of hidden story about who actually gets paid. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that story. Okay, so to get into this, I want you to imagine a movie. We're going to use a fictional example for our case study here. Let's call it K-pop Demon Hunters. It's this animated blockbuster just packed with incredible music, amazing visuals, and it becomes a massive global sensation. I mean, it is everywhere. You can't escape it. So on the surface, this looks like a huge victory for South Korea, right? A total landmark for K-culture on the world stage. But that brings us to the real question we're trying to answer today. When all the excitement dies down and the money's counted, who really cashed in on a hit like this? Well, the answer is way more complicated than you'd think.
To really solve this mystery, the usual tools just won't cut it. You know, these vague ideas like soft power, which is basically a country's cultural coolness factor, or just looking at raw export numbers, they don't really tell you the whole story. They don't show you where the money actually flows or who's really in control. We need something new, something built for this exact job.
And this is that tool. It's called the Global Cultural Influence and Export Index, or you can just call it the GCIE. Think of it as a special scorecard made to measure this stuff. It looks at two main things. First, what actually gets out there and makes money, the outcomes. And second, a country's ability to actually make and sell that culture in the first place, the capabilities.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Look at how this GCIE score is put together. A whopping 40% of it comes from export outcomes. That's the hard data. We're talking export dollars, music market share, how many screens it's on. It literally follows the money. The other parts cover everything else, like the infrastructure, how fast things get localized, and of course, how well they turn fans into paying customers.
So before we break down our K-pop movie, let's use this new tool to take a quick look at the world rankings. Who's really leading the pack when it comes to cultural exports right now?
Okay, this leaderboard for 2025 gives us a really fascinating snapshot. Now, you'll see the scores are in bands, which just reflects how confident we are in the numbers. And yeah, some of the names at the top won't surprise you, but check out how close some of these scores are. It just shows you how intense the competition really is out there. All right, coming in at number 3, you've got Japan. Its power is just incredible, and it all comes from this massive flywheel of anime and gaming IP that the whole world loves. I mean, you have platforms like Crunchyroll with millions of subscribers. That's a seriously powerful engine for beaming Japanese culture straight into people's homes. Just ahead, at number 2, is South Korea. And what makes them so strong is what the source material calls a multi-sector export stack. Basically, it's not just one thing, they're crushing it across the board. You've got K-dramas on Netflix, K-pop artists topping global charts, and their gaming and beauty industries are absolute giants. Everything is firing at once.
And then at number 1 with a pretty big lead is the United States. Its dominance really comes down to one word: scale. Just unmatched scale. It's got the biggest media market at home, but, and this is the real kicker, it also controls so many of the global platforms, the distribution networks that carry everyone else's cultural products.
And that idea, the idea of controlling the platform, that brings us perfectly back to our case study. So let's grab our magnifying glasses, use this GCIE framework, and figure out who really won from our hit movie, K-pop Demon Hunters.
And this right here is the absolute heart of the investigation. On one side, you have the creative genius, the cultural flavor. That's all South Korea, no question. But then you look at the other side. Who owns the IP? Who paid for it? Who's distributing it? In this case, that's all US companies.
So the GCIE gives us this awesome little checklist to figure out where the points should go. All we have to do is answer these 5 questions. It forces us to look past all the cool marketing and dig into the contracts to see who really has control, from the very first idea all the way down to the fan who buys a t-shirt.
And yep, this quote basically sums up what we find. When you actually analyze the business side of our movie, because the key things, the IP, the money, the distribution, were controlled by the US, that's where the biggest chunk of the points end up going. So it's time for the final tally. We've looked at all the evidence, we've used our framework, and now we can finally see the official score. The verdict is in.
Now, a monster hit like this can add up to 3.0 points to a country's total score. That is a huge deal for a single project. So the big question is, for K-pop Demon Hunters, how are those 3.0 points actually divided up?
This scorecard tells the entire story. Just look at how the points are split up. Under export outcomes, the one with the most weight, the US gets a massive 1.2 points to South Korea's 0.2. But look at perception and halo, South Korea gets a bigger piece of that pie, which makes sense, because that's the cultural buzz. But still, the categories worth the most points, they lean heavily to the US.
So, for creating this global phenomenon, South Korea's final score is a plus 0.80 points. That's definitely a solid gain, reflecting the movie's K-pop identity and all that incredible creative work.
But the United States, because it financed the film, owned the IP, and controlled the global rollout through its platforms, walks away with plus 2.20 points. It's just this powerful example of how controlling the business structure can actually be worth more than providing the creative idea itself.
So what's the big lesson here? What does this all teach us? What's the new playbook for countries and creators who don't just want to make global hits, but actually want to get the biggest rewards from them?
Well, the playbook is all about getting into the nitty-gritty of the deal from day one. Take secure IP co-ownership. That doesn't just mean you get a created by credit. It means you negotiate for a real piece of the sequels, the spin-offs. If the Korean creators of our movie had kept just 20% of the IP, that one little clause would have sent a huge chunk of points their way. Same with merchandise. The playbook says you build your own fan platform or license it to a company you control. It's all about owning the stage, not just being the star performer on it.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really important question for the future. You know, as creating things across borders becomes totally normal, the real fight for influence isn't just going to be about who has the next great idea. It's going to be about who controls the system that brings that idea to the rest of us. So who really holds the power? The person who creates it or the person who owns it?
Okay, thank you. I want to know that Chinese information is not included yet. Today, what I'm showing to you, this is just prep, kind of an idea. This is a prototype. It's not well proved or got a good evidence yet. Nobody human check. That's what we like to do. So we like to finally we set it up community and it's a human touch. Make sure. This is just I've just put in some mathematical algorithm, put them in there, but not include China. If it's either Chinese information coming in, it might be changed, totally different change. So we need that. So we're going to discuss about part of that. I'm personally, this is my kind of pet project. The last 30 years, I'm kind of fascinating to so much interesting to dealing with the index area, which is, frankly speaking, is UK is dominate this area. They are everybody start from there. They whatever it is, American copy for that, and the Asian few countries trying to copy for it, make their own index, whatever industry. It didn't work. Why? Because there's so many different research required. and or data require, and the kind of patience doing that. At least you have to 5 to 10 years to maintain all the record like this. So it costs a lot of money, and the bread and then blood and the sweat and whatever you need it. So I tried it a few years, didn't work. But now it's changed. AI. I can hook it up. They're all 5 different sources. The UN source, I'm going to show the detail, what kind of source I use it. Boom, API, hook it up. You got it pretty much kind of accurate, okay? But still, we don't have a final human touch. So I'm thinking about it. It might be good subject, maybe, like I said, might be good connection with all together AIA member, and that might be another opening key to the next level. We're going to do that. Today, I'm going to show a little bit about the background because of what we are talking about, how we can, from here to move to the next level. Accidentally now we have the Seoul city mayor is interesting. Did you see that? What he's saying was, oh, I'm interested about GCI. I just heard about it. That's exciting. Oh, maybe we can working together. Maybe put it, this one is more like a spread out.
Whose idea is this? GCI.
I am an initiator. I'm the guide with the professor is, we have a co-initiator, I'll say this, yeah, Dong-Suri. So, and I'm going to show you too about next slide, kind of interesting, so, and a little complex, kind of mathematic type of thing, but just, look at it, what I'm trying to say too, okay? Let's move to global cultural influence. GCI index. It could be name is changed because there's a lot of other areas involved. I'm just showing as kind of rough idea. It's a prototype, and we are not ready to release yet. But we're going to work it on it. Okay, we're working on it. We're going to keep communicating with it. Once you do that, real success, it might be big impact all over the world, especially anything related for art management and global cultural industries. I'm going to show you how big it is and how impact it is, and around it. So that's what the round table we're going to do that. Okay, I got an idea to, like I said, it's come from UK. I said is the British guys die for it. It's an index. Always they study that idea. Okay, I got last 30 years. I've communicated a lot of different people how we make the index. This is personal my pet project. How are we going to make the index? And what are you going to index from start in Asia? And then I got an idea for basic idea CIF. This is called and the charity and the foundation. They start with the World Giving Index. That's what I came from, right? So accidentally, all Korean really fascinating about this giving index. They're talking about it every day. Everybody waiting for once a year. They got to announce the ranking about, oh, Korea used to be 67, now is 170. Oh, we're bad. We are bad. Who's the number one? United States number one, UK? Accidentally, Bangladesh, Myanmar, this guy's got number one too. Why these poor people going to be number one in giving index? Kind of a lot of controversial but interesting things like that. So people talk about it in the industry. So, and we are the only one. It's so much interesting. The rest of the country, U.S., other countries, they don't give a damn anything about this. What it is. But I'm thinking about it. Yes, if that's the case, what if we make our own index in the industry? Put together, gathering together is possible. It's not easy. That's what they started. And the next one, and the kind of, I'm going to share with you everything. So kind of background, what kind of document, the press release we needed to make authorized doing this. What kind of team we want to involve? Who's going to be involved? Who's going to sign a final committee? And then everything like that. So that's how I set it up to detail one by one, the step by step, to how before we announce everybody, so it's kind of our document, everything is about, and things like that, just to put them in there. And internal, public-facing some document what we needed. I think we cover almost 90% now. I can present it to you, this discussion, and also about external and things like that, and then what kind of report, what kind of data we needed to present to our other community network. So we have so many stakeholders involved with this, so it might be a different story. So this is a really kicker, and then this is what you have to pay attention. Why related to GCI is you guys art culture management program. That's what I focus on. Why we needed it, of course. Well, first one is the measurement. Well, we're talking about our name is come from management. Without the measurement, what do you think? Does that make it possible for management? So we kind of need some kind of a, not a qualitative, it's quantitative type of analysis. That's a start. So measurement was we needed, and the strategy and the highlight and the city overall. Later I'm going to show it to you this kind of prepom we can use for ranking of a city, culture city, its own country, and all of the global countries. Beijing, Shanghai, Paris, and London, whatever it is, LA, and everything we can compare. I'm going to show it to you as a prototype, how the ranking comes out, like that. So how they're going to using this all policymaker trying to make what kind of strategy they're going to use, improve their strategy to improve their index. And funding government, absolutely, that's what they come from. That's what my areas come from. How the money is moving around based on in this kind of index. And internalization and distribution, how they do. And now in this particular index, focusing, we're dealing about money because nobody want to talk about money. It's really, I think you guys see there at the 6 minutes video here, what they're saying was, well, index is influence and export. Where does money wind up? And they got to give you for K-pop, which is also a Cayman, like that. So now we got a lot of Korean cultures involved, but whose actually money goes, right? Netflix, Sony, this kind of guy. So that's what we're going to analyze. We're going to use it like a real cool head to analyze this system, how we're going to work. And lastly, and then also ethic and the sustainability. I'm not included for my area, the development of philanthropy area yet. Anything out of something charity work. This index, this culture may be anything like public interest or not. I didn't include yet, but based on kind of ratio, whatever we're going to do, we can put in effect. Ranking might be changed a little bit. That's what our committee is all about. This is machine. AI cannot handle that. Oh, yeah, of course, that's convenient. This is I did it last night. So it takes about probably any video and presentation type of thing about 3-4 minutes. We can do that. I don't know how accurate it is, but we're going to find out also too. That might be possible. Anyhow, this is kind of the area what we're going to the why sections, and then. Let's look at a little bit detail. Let's look at inside. Well, I have 5 different categories. One category, which is 40%, is export outcome. This is what we are so much interested. Well, rather than input, we call output. I would say outcome is a different story. So outcome may be what is 40%. I put him in there as an initiator. You are thinking about, no, BK, that's too high. We should be include 30% or 25%. So everybody has a different idea, right? So we're going to discuss that one. And then how this is discovery and the localization and the speed, platform, and which is penetration. So it's kind of K-pop is really good at that, right? Okay, but we don't know how much economically financially impact the whole industry yet. We're talking about a lot of bubble might be involved, but we don't know what actually. But the data might be showing detail, right? That's what it is. And then also tandem monetarization as a 15%. And like capability and the infrastructure is 20%, procession, hello is 10%, it's less one. But I didn't include, like I said, was about public interest things like that. That might be change the whole spectrum, the rate, the numbers comes up. Okay. I'm asking myself, before we should do that, what kind of methodology do you have to impact engine do that? I just made this one using my own last year's data, thinking, experience, everything like that, and also include our AI, put it together, and then we come out with our own standard message. And then also we got a flow chart to how we're going to do that. Sometimes you don't have to follow one by one like this, but we got to jump it out, and then we can just make a shortcut type of thing. This is just example on that. Okay, this is another interesting thing. This is, I made it all web. Web means... We can't read that. Oh, yeah, of course. This is just, I'm going to give it to that. And then I'm going to give it to you right now. After we finish, they'll give you an app. You can just play it on the web. It's not accurate. It's not a public yet, right? Okay. What I'm trying to say is app is We made it an app. It cost me about almost $3 million long time ago when I started about anything in an app like that. So nobody can afford to making $3 million paying an app like that. But now, we can do it our own way. So if you give me about 30 minutes, we can make our own web. And also, if you want to change, this is all connected together, and we can about 30 minutes, our own web, and then, like that. So I'll just give you an example. GCI app, which is all what it is, what kind of website, small website. You can see your phone right now. If you want to say, hey, BK, I want to change it a little bit like that, so we can just, a couple of minutes, change the program, everything, comes out new app. Right? That's the beauty about one. And then another web, I tried city index. It took maybe 3 months, about 6 months to making an index for city itself. This is what I did all over the world. We have, let's say, 500 cities who I would like to check it out, the cities, each individual index. If you want to make a ranking, we're automatically ranking ours. So detail, pop it up, or interactive. Active. Okay. I tested similar one other session, and right after they finish, actually I have to do another round the table, I'm going to give a speech, but different index, word like that. But it's working. Everybody kind of leadership, they like it. If that's the case, why don't you make our own serious index here, every group? So I presented it here to make it probably possible for directory, and you guys needed this. And then I just kind of tried K-City, which is we have about 25 real good culture. Daegu, did you see that? We have a Daegu guys coming here to talk about this. One of the best not local Korean culture city. They are very, very proud of it. So proud of it. We have different cities probably. Gwangju, they probably. But I need somebody to evaluate to some kind of quantitative way, right? This is a more objective way. So I did that, kind of comes out. Some maybe don't like it. Maybe let's say I put Busan number 1. I don't know why. I just put him in the program, just comes out, the ranking and number, everything, the detail. And I said, why Busan? Do you think why Busan is number 1? Oh, we're talking about 10-page detail, why they do that, why they comes out 10. Maybe some people don't like it. Well, my city was better than Busan. Why do you think it won? Yeah, but we need to have a strong algorithm to stand out why our with the criteria onto judgment, the number might be changed, right? And that take us, we can do that. But this anyhow, this is just a prototype. Anything in UK, we got about 50 cities. Everybody's thinking they're one of the best for culture city. We're just using that one. Comes out. China, we have 100 cities. Everybody talking about that. We put them in 100. No, you don't have to put them in 100. Just the instructions say, I need to check it out, the ranking in China city. Based on their own data. I don't have the time to collecting all just 1,000 data like that. I got to automatically hook it up to API, the own data, if there is a data is available. The reason I put him in there, I didn't put him in there in China because some data is not available. That's the only reason. But once you let them involve that data, boom, there will be whole spectrum, whole formula will be changed. That might be maybe his job to maybe working together in the global working. Okay, this is the Sankey one. What we're trying to do was, it's a part of the report, because once you involve app, and if you want to looking at the report, boom, and then that comes out. Kind of interesting in the Professor Lee tell you about this. In this case here, in the China is there, of course, that the China, Korea, how they actually Chinese, their product, their origin goes to where? Some of them goes to the United States, some of them go to other country, EU, some of them go to the other Asian country. This is actually, I put them in the data, actual money data. Or whatever is available, I put them in there, they sign it, they will be show up. Interesting enough here is other French is a little bit different though. French is tendency kind of on, rather than export, they got their own way. Okay, even Nobel Prize winner, everybody, most of the winner is born, working on there, they got a PhD and then University of there, they got a Nobel Prize from there. Most likely, this kind of analyze to see how the country, their behavior to dealing with. So kind of interesting. is, I don't know how impacted this one run, but it's good to kind of, we can get some insight, knowledge about insight. Okay, this is typical K-culture industry. The app is going to show you detail about whole spectrum and the mind map is what kind of industry is involved. I just showed a little bit about K-culture industry. So we're talking about a lot of people, K-culture. What is K-culture? Boom, here. I'm just pop it up, there will be more detail. Okay, main thing at all. Then you can see the whole picture itself like that. I'm going to put this one set, okay, I'm going to the whole IAAM stakeholder mind map culture industries, maybe passive industry. Boom, maybe that will be much bigger than, we can see the big picture. Okay, benchmarking index. So what I get the benchmark, here is I got the 5 different index because inside the algorithm is not done by just BK's idea, okay? But this is a guy, I got some global soft power index there. That is some of them idea comes up and also other things like that. And then global world. Okay, I'm using global innovation index. That's very popular. That's what I'm using every day. That's how I'm using that part of it. So that's 5 different benchmarking and the index one I'm using, and the design is that one, and the print there. And use case, they have a lot of use case, of course, how can you use that, and then I'll give it to you detail later on to that. And external source, and how they got the idea. Do you remember I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 6 in them here? And then this category, where did they got that information? Look at this. All this information come to, here it is. I don't know what the point it is. Okay, there's the point. Here it is. Okay, this all external. I hook it up. Here, discovery localization. I hook it up this. And the pendulum unit, this one I hook it up, this information. Not 100% working, but I get that. Most of them got a free API. So this is machine talk to each other, okay? Just hook it up, got the information I needed, they got it, they calculate it, plug in our formula, algorithm, and then comes up some kind of length. And I ask it, I don't understand the length, so give me then why were you thinking, would you tell me a little bit more detail? And why do you got to come out? And then they were trying to explain something, right? And then final committee might be looking at maybe acceptable, not agree, or we can argue about it. This is a kind of field use cheat sheet, and how we can use is what kind of the key KPIs involved, what kind of risk is involved, and then I'm interested to not only creation, I'm talking about interest on education, how we can use it for education, this index itself. So kind of analyze. I think I made a report. I'm trying to writing which is a paper, which is I'm working now with, I don't know you guys about it, and the natural communications. So myself and the Professor Lee and we have Professor Kim, we're trying to write a basic paper, trying to apply that one using that one, okay? So that's what I'm interested, we are interested on education. We can apply different way, how this kind of index maybe apply our education system. Of course, we got a policy making. We got a lot of detail. A lot of people complain about, well, the United States is a big country, China is a big country, they got a lot of big product there. How can we judge with other poor country or small country? How do you do that? So I made a different idea we're thinking about, which is trying to, our score between GDP per capita, right? And then, so I'm using different formula, using different way to plug in there, got a different data comes out, then that comes out, just kind of little bit one, and then using different form of statistical analysis form. And that if you got familiar with it, I'm a little bit familiar with it, not all of them, but I'm using some statistical analysis to justify what kind of the ranking or this comes out. Yeah, this is all a type of thing, and a practical mapping and the GCI, how we can get an idea from this one is practical mapping. And this one, like I said, I got the whole hook it up. I'll say pretty much hook it up already. And now I like to share with you, and that we can owning together type of thing I'm trying to say. We are not putting into trademark anything yet. I'm just probably working together. You know, I have to from today to. Okay, this is one currently what I'm working on it, real practical one. My client, the one for K-wave, which is all K-wave, it's not a bright pinkish idea. We got a lot of the legal action, a lot of people suing to each other, right? So what I did, I just pick it up, what's going on in Korea right now with other country, what the industry, they're fighting each other. You know, what is subject, how are we going to do that? How, this kind of real issue. So we are, the management guy, who have to dealing with this issue, very detailed. I know it's a devil's in detail, of course, but, you know, but this is actually we have to dealing with. Our all index is program itself include this one is. We include that one, a kind of distributed idea, a kind of case study. What kind of case study is there used to be? And anybody have a similar one? Or if anybody comes out in China, between China or other country, other industry, and then we can come up with some case like that. I checked by hand. It covered about 80% right. You know, 20% I'm not qualified yet to judging whether this guy is talking about some case because and probably about 80% accurate. So we got to map it up. This one is come from as a set. So the whole program come with this idea. Okay, mapping and like I said, the detailed funding model. Okay, everybody interested about funding model. Where does the money come from? Okay, that's what I'm specialized myself, and I'm always thinking about it. Where does money come from? How are we going to sustainable our index? Everything like that. So I got a benchmarking. Different people, different index, how their money come from. We're going to use the benchmarking funding model this, and this guy using this guy this is this. So our model might be, and the business canvas. I don't know you heard about the model, business model and the canvas model. This is very popular, the way the management team uses it. I'm just plugging there, hey, GCI, what kind of the business model you're going to be talking about, and then business model comes out, the detail. About 20, 30 pages on the paper is included that one too. And an organization chart, once everybody interested in it, how we're going to organize this. This is an international committee there, how we're going to put it together, working together, it's organized. This kind of set it up, and then also we call R&R, and the role and responsibility, and I'm just putting in a RSCI metric. This is a very popular management team to using what kind of job they have function to working together as a team in the set it up design. This is basic design. Okay, I'm BK An, just briefly do. Okay, anyhow, this kind of sum it up. And then what we're going to do is, I know you guys have a little time to think about what kind of question it is. So we have all the panel is going to be come front. We free talking. Okay, free talking. We just raise the questions. You know, I probably can answer that. Maybe we can. If not answered, we just other people might be answered for that in the floor. So we can freely discussing whatever comes up. So please, and panel, please come in the front. And we'll talk about it, okay. 우리 지금 중단. Okay, from now on, and we kind of the free discussion and anything English-speaking Christian and everything comes out without any translation today, just to directly talk about it. But we have a Chinese speaker that comes out. We have a translator beside her, and then they will try it as like consecutive. It's not going to simultaneously translate. It's just consecutive. It's going to take a time, but we got to slow. Just a little bit relax. So this is not a formal discussion. This is kind of informal discussion. And like I said, nobody record. So whatever you want to say, questions, suspicions, and some feedback, and anything you can put the value on it, and then just let's talk about it. And we got a record on this. After we finish this session, and where our party will follow up, give you more information. We're going to keep going in the discussion until next meeting, right? Okay. Okay. The first probably question might be like start with Professor Lee, as he and I we started on this program, but it's just brief suggestion and maybe desired suggestion. Something comes up. 얘기 좀 잠깐 해. 한국어.
GCI.
Yeah.
저는 한국말로 하고요. 뒤에 이제 통역을 하겠는데 우리나라 이따가 해가지고 아까 이제 BK가 그 보여준 차트에 있어서 그 부산이 1위로 나왔는데 그게 이제 아마 9월 말 10월 초에 부산 국제 영화제가 아마 개최되었었어요. 그래서 아마 그 키워드의 검색 빈도 이런 것들이 급속하게 증가하면서 아마 부산이 시티가 1위가 된 것 같고요. 그러니까 2위를 보니까 전주가 나왔는데 마찬가지입니다. 마찬가지 전주가 그 당시에 국제 또 영화제를 했을 겁니다. 그래서 아마 아마 2위가 전주로 랭킹에 올라온 것 같은데 그러니까 어떻게 우리가 GCI를 어떻게 설계하고 지표를 어떻게 설정하냐에 따라서 순위는 충분히 바뀔 수 있는 거고요. 그래서 오늘 이 자리를 빌어서 각국의 교수님들 또 오셨는데 이 교수님들과 함께 어떤 식으로 지표를 설정하는 게 가장 공정하고 공정한지에 대해서 한번 논의하는 시간을 가져보면 좋을 것 같습니다.
Yeah, he's talk a lot, but I don't. He can translate it.
I think it will be more like a summary of what he just said. He just gave the possible reasons for. If you remember the chart of the GCIE City Index, and Busan came up the first, and Jeonju came up the second. And he was giving us a possible reason for these two cities coming up before Seoul. Possible reasons. First, in the case of Busan, because at the time of researching this ranking, Busan was hosting Busan International Film Festival, which led a lot of people to go on the line and search related keywords regarding the festival. In a similar way, Jeonju came up second because, again, around that time, Jeonju held another international film festival, and he is kind of guessing that that kind of big events increase the traffic online, search traffic online regarding these two cities, and that's the explanation. And what he's hoping today during the discussion is he just explained that because of all these possible circumstances, rankings can change. There are a lot of variables involved. So he was hoping that throughout the discussion, maybe we can come up with some kind of criteria that will guarantee fairness in ranking, trying to rank something like this. So there should be some, if it's possible, try to set certain criteria that everybody can agree to ensure the fairness in using this kind of index.
Okay, thank you. That's pretty much a good summary. When we using some kind of data, and they pretty much almost update is front, which is even yesterday something going on. Let's say somebody from the United States want to set it up, some kind of a, well, I'm not looking at you. I'm just giving you an example, okay? I want to put down some American orchestras comes up and working with the city in Seoul, right? We had a big event that comes up. That might be impact some index or not. Kind of interesting, isn't it? And then we put him in there. It's going to be happen maybe next week, but now it's announced already and yesterday in newspaper. This index platform will pick it up, instantly pick it up, and they will be trying to apply number. Maybe not big enough. Maybe, I don't know, but that's what it is. And then also they explain why this number improved that one or not, like that. Okay, so I'm going to slide some, if you guys, I know you got a lot of Christians who want to comment and then the feedback, something like that. Any volunteer to start with? Okay, Tony? Okay, good.
How do you know when, can you hear me? Is this working? Can you hear me? This one? Okay. 감사합니다. Okay. How do you know when the index is successful? These are two questions. How do you know, say 5 years from now, that the evolution of the GCIE has been successful? And two, how will it be applied?
That was, I would say, it's Christian is two Christian that kind of mixed together, and then it's got $1 million Christians, okay, the kind of answer. Let me tell you about what the real system now. Any index, and the society accept, authorize, and agreed and apply is probably within 10 years. So it's not going to be 1-2 years. People talking about maybe some university, some institution, government might be using, but not until about 10 years. That is kind of normal term. So if you say about 5 years, that might be success. I don't know what the success category. And anybody interested? How many people interested? How many people adopt using? What kind of media exposure they're using? So we have to find out what is the success categories we're talking about, and how we're going to apply. Actually, like I said, and I already told them here in the different business model, how impact. The business model is mean we are not just collecting the money for funding source. This is all other party maybe take advantage of using this index for their own using. That's the key. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, to be honest, I'm looking for maybe the devil in those details, because right now I don't hear any details, right? So maybe one more time, with respect to what its success looks like, can you give me one potential example of success?
Well, and I can see that one particular, if I'm involving, which is somebody is responsible in leadership part, I like to see this index is a success, right? Okay, for example, and then one of, like Professor Lee talking about Busan, and I'm talking about in the Korean city itself. One of the city mayor, they said, wow, I'm interested in using to measure our activity, our all city member activity, dealing with improve our capacity of cultural industry influence, anything like that. They might be talking about it, but they don't have any standard one. But if they're using it, apply it, and then definitely see the improvement of the index and show the number, there might be, there will be kind of case. So we are desperately looking for the good case. Every day good case, we're going to apply that and use that and tell the people, and that we're going to start, yeah.
So I'll just go one last follow-up, and I'll pass the baton, so to speak. So, I see an example success that you were just mentioning was that in this case, the Korean government could use this index as a way of distributing funds at their disposal for potential investment within the various cities in Korea. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a part of it. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's one of the most important point Tony has mentioned about it. The government policymaker, they distribute a lot of funds, but they don't have any idea how they go, how they're using, or how their outcome and comes out. So this is kind of they are using as a standard. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay, actually, I have no question. I just would like to make a couple of comments because
Sure,
I was
sure.
deeply impressed. I think it's very, very interesting. It's a huge amount of work. And I think that index and measurements are very important in our field. And maybe there is quite a big lack of measurements in our field. So actually, France is a different country. And you said it was going their own way. So we don't really have culture of measurement of index, and mostly in this field. But I definitely think we need to think about that. So maybe just two questions I would ask myself. So first question is, what for? So how can it be used for each country? Since actually we agreed to work all together, and that is basically what you have in mind. So what the benefit for each, and how to deal and to monitor the outcome of this index. And maybe the second question might be about the update of data. And I was just wondering whether it's possible and how to involve in the future potential new sources of information in this field.
Yeah, it's a similar question. That's a good question. So let's go back to his update one. Like I said, it's real fortunate. Anything going on, even small city in France, and anything comes out in the digital, in the internet, anything comes out, if I ask them, they will be include that one. Definitely. So it's kind of update, automatic updates I'm talking about. And also not only update, it is kind of automation system. This is involved too. Otherwise, it's going to cost a lot of money and to do update to doing that. Like that. This is all automatic what I'm targeting. And then the first part is talking about committee. We have a different country. Like France is a different area. That's why I put the 5 different categories. Last category was kind of a little bit in a hazy area to put one. That will be comes more than 10%, 20%. Like a Frank's case, we're gonna kind of more customized index comes out, and we're gonna put some kind of disclaimer. They said this particular index based on whatever condition is. So every index might be a little bit different, right type of thing. So it's a matter of committees involved. Internationally, committee members start with the 10 to the 15 people. What we call grandfather committee, which is nobody started export that index. Anything comes out, we could be our in one grandfather index. They will be involved it, and 5 people sign it, whatever agreement to do that. There were a really detailed discussion about categories, then the ratio, and the type of thing, and what he's interested on in French case. They might be not unfair using just international case, some case. So that's what the beauty are all about. We're gonna collaboration discussing about community, international community. And people like it because if I only do the Korean, Chinese, some Japanese want to working together, do this one, it might be that it's not interesting in the other countries. So we're talking about we are representative of almost global, isn't it? Right? We might be little Latin America or other countries. Latin America, they have a pretty good culture industry too, so they might be. So we're trying to working together, put it together as a grandfather committee, and let them know, other people know, we got all kinds of people there. There may be fair measurement might be possible, yeah.
I got another one.
You got one? Yeah, just wait on them. He's waiting.
You talked a little bit about this earlier, but I'm curious about the weighting.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Heaviness, weighting. And I assume with your model, you can very quickly shift the weighting to see what you think. So how did you determine the weights of each category?
That's the question. In this case, I using mine a little bit, about 10% my own personal experience there, but 90% I rely on AI reasoning because I training for last 1.5 years to my small LLM, and this is a small SLM. I set it up. This one to special. We call vertical AI to design for strictly for index. So it got more than 10,000 pages involved there, all kind of program and all kind of data involved, and I put them in there. Based on this data, what is the best optimized rating comes out as a sample. So this is just a sample. But the leave it to about human judgment. So the committee comes out, like a discussion about the rating, what he's talking about. So if you're trying to find the right optimal rating. Maybe that rating particular time we're using, maybe next time they're using, maybe we slightly change because now all industry atmosphere will be changed and the way they use the money that might be changed. Policy might be changed. So we cannot follow that as update. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here is the president. Yeah.
大家好，关于文化影响力指数的问题是一个非常重要，但是现在存在的很多问题的一个问题。我先介绍，我谈一下对这个问题的看法，然后问2个问题。比如说，关于文化影响力指数的统计和发布，它是要建立在大量的客观的、理性的数据的基础上，它才能够形成最终我们的专业机构来设定的影响力指数。以中国为例，中国在这方面有做得好的，也有做得不好，甚至很不好。比如说，以中国的电影的指数统计、数据统计做的是非常好的。它每1秒钟都在发生变化，每1秒钟，它的票房、它的口碑，比如豆瓣评分、观众、票房、人次，每1秒钟都在发生变化。但是从演绎这个角度来讲，相对而言，我们就落后的很多。在2021年。不能翻译的吧？
所以因为他是到这儿了，这儿的话他是把你听的话全翻译过去，以为是韩语的。
那我应该怎么办呢？我照说了。
让我说一下。
OK。
So because this doesn't work because it automatically recorded as Korean. So the English version and Chinese version are wrong. So I might just add summarize what Professor Lin just said. He says about the cultural influence index. It costs a lot of work and a huge amount of data to collect and measure for the influence. For example, if it's in China, the film market. We have kind of a Chinese system that calculates, and we got data every single second. And that's what kind of we need, but still we kind of lack of the system how to set up the measurements or the curriculum or algorithm how to analyze the index. So please let him carry on with it.
OK， 在2021年的时候，中国有一部电影，它的票房达到了57亿人民币，是中国电影当时是有史以来最高票房。第一，我就在社交媒体上说了几句感慨，我说电影不管说什么， 都会说票房，演艺什么都会说，多不会提票房。这是一个非常鲜明的一个对照。它的问题出现在哪里？就是我们对要建立那个文化影响力指数它的基础数据，其实大家都是各有各的盘算，各有各的看法，就造成了今天我们在演绎的数据分析很大困难，更不要说建立文化影响力指数了。
Okay, so because we're talking about the film industry, so we have the records and the data in the film industry every single second in China. However, in the performing arts area, it's really bad. So we don't really talk about the data, how many tickets we sold and how much money we sell. For example, we have a film that sold like a 5.7 million Chinese yuan or billion Chinese yuan, but we never see the currencies or any money in the performing arts area because the criteria of setting up the index in performing arts area, everyone got different thoughts. So we don't have a standard system to analyze it in performing arts. That's the problem.
所以我们现在要做这个文化影响力指数，比如说在演艺领域，在中国是把文化产业列为11个行业啊，文化产业包含11个行业，其中第一个就是演艺，演艺。那么，比如说用统计口径标准来讲，什么叫一场演出？一个半小时是一场演出，那么1个小时算一场演出吗？40分钟算一场演出吗？半个小时算一场演出吗？这是有规定吗？又比如说，带表演的讲座算演出吗？在剧场里面放映一部高清歌剧电影，这算演出吗？它都是有一连串的问题，就是它的口径和标准还远远没有建立起来。可以了啊。没有建立起来，这是个问题。这是从总体来讲，所以我们艺术管理研究，我觉得要非常好的建立数据体系，它才能做深入的分析，系统的前后的比较的分析。但是现在做这个分析非常非常困难，非常非常困难啊！这个数据啊不完善。我再举个例子。我们中国有一座一线城市，提出一个要建立国际演艺之都这样一个目标，啊，建立这样目标当然很好。后来我就问这个城市相关的负责人，包括演艺方面的会长，我说你们这个城市去年1年的演出场次多少，观众人次多少？票房收入多少？人均消费多少？一个都回答不出来，一个都没回答出来。我说，那你们是怎么提出要建立国际演艺制度的？如果要做国际演艺制度，应该达到什么样的一些数据标准，或者说建立一些什么样的影响力指数啊？这就是一个问题啊。我就不展开了。我想问问那个主持人，就是在韩国，文化影响力指数是由哪个机构为主在做这个事情？它是怎么发布的？那个在做这样一个文化影响力指数的时候，从主观上来讲，希望能够达到什么样的目的？
So the final question from Professor Lin is going to ask Professor An. So which organization is kind of calculating or doing all the index in Korea, and how do you do that?
Okay, yeah, looks like a very important questions, but now we have kind of running out of time. I'm going to ask a few in the floor, and then we have a front here. I'm going to ask all questions together. I'm going to memorize it here, make a note, and I'm trying to best I can to the answer for all put it together. Maybe some question might be duplicated, the same similar one, but I'm focusing on Chinese case in the later on time. Okay, thank you. Let me and the transport to yeah, we'll talk about the questions and then some questions. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Yeah, okay, fine. So, thank you. I think that is absolutely fascinating to try and do what you do, and it's absolutely complex, and it's going to raise a lot of questions. And I think for me, the issue that I have, it's not an issue, it's a comment, is actually I'd like to go back to the ingredient. Okay. What am I putting down? Can you not hear me?
Yeah, that will be there.
Okay, well, I've got two now. Right. Anyway, just try with this one, yeah? So for me, really the question goes back to the very beginning. Goes back to the beginning about how we think about culture. You have mentioned the word, and that got me thinking, cultural influence and export. Perhaps the word export is something that in our minds we can think that we can measure. You know, exports, you can see how many things have been exported, how many have gone where. But influence, it's the one that I find a lot more difficult, is to do with the subjective, a lot of it. And I wanted to suggest perhaps a couple of things. I mean, one of the things we're doing here, and we can actually use this opportunity as a way of rethinking how we do it, is measuring the value of culture. What ingredients are valuable when we are thinking about measurable culture, and what is culture anyway? So I am going to talk, I always talk about my own background and where I come from, and I think that influences how we think and what we say. My background is as a sociologist. I'm a sociologist of the arts and culture. And when I teach to my students about the creative industries, I always explain to them that one of the important things about the creative industries is not just to do with the innovation and the ideas that they bring, but also with the societal impacts. What positive impacts do they bring to society? You know, I said, you know, now you can have games that you can watch while women are giving birth, and that controls the pain. I mean, that is incredible. Or you can use an app to lose weight, or that sort of thing. So there's a lot of societal implications and effects. And I would like for us to take this opportunity to think about how can we actually look at the type of culture that is being measured here, and then also to look at these more societal, that are perhaps more difficult to measure, but they're very valuable in themselves, roles and values. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, and perhaps this is a thing that is easier to measure, you know, I'm not an expert on music, and a lot of experts in music are here and they're present, but we all know that music concerts and festivals in particular have been very successful at raising money and philanthropic money and donations for charitable causes. And one of the things that I had in mind is, why don't we take this opportunity to rethink what culture is and how we think about culture, and find ways of measuring the impact of a particular culture, let's say you're talking about film industry or performances, and in terms of the not just the revenue that they bring or the money they bring, but what sort of charity have they been able to give rise to? For instance, have they led to any donations? Have they helped expand a culture of generosity in any kind of way of shape and form? So I would suggest that this is an opportunity for us to think outside the box about what needs to be measured. And I just want to thank you again for this really interesting opportunity to comment on your framework.
Okay. Well, the people that answered on that, probably he got some feedback and the comment on that, and maybe one or two questions. I'm just put it there. I'm going to sum it up all together, and then we'll be trying to get an answer. Maybe I don't have to answer myself. Maybe in the floor, maybe some of the guys that have a better idea to can answer for that. Okay, let's move to either comment and or questions. So if you have a questions, you got just make a short and then make it just point, and then you comment. You know, you take time to do that. Okay, so in the front, maybe you got yeah. You got it. So yeah, anybody to.
Thank you. Fascinating indeed. Topic and the research. I was particularly intrigued by the exports aspect, because we have performing rights society. So first of all, you mentioned I'd like to clarify something. You need data. So the whole concept, influence and export, we're looking at external, so radiation. We're talking about data that is outside of the place you are measuring as point of origin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Kind of this dissemination, which is whatever originates the company or country, the content itself, they got consuming by themselves in the domestically, they cover, but we're measuring especially on export, which is kind of monetized to outside country to influence that. Yeah.
So that
like
kind
a K-pop. Yeah.
That kind of data exists.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in in Performing Rights Society, the ratings agencies, and similar kind of
I'm using 12 different agency data to call API.
Exactly. As Martha's point, very valid about influence, that's a bit more difficult to assess. That would be
like I said, a human being is very difficult. Used to be with a survey, you got a human being go out there to digging the paper, everything like that. But now these days, without the survey, we kind of all digitalize, trying to do that. So this is kind of challenge. I keep saying that. I'm going to later mention about the Chinese case. I'm so much interested in Chinese data and how the system working together. And we have to definitely include China because it is a huge influence to culture there. People don't understand, they don't know yet, but they got there. But basically, we do hook it up together and working together. That's why we are here. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
We got one question.
I talk about a little bit about. Thanks. I talk about a little bit about China and Australia cultural trade. Actually, I did some research. This is a paper, a China annual report on international cultural trade of China, 2014. So this is I did some paper, how to China in the influence and the rules in the Australia cultural trade. What's the role? What's the influence? So actually, in 1972, is established the formal relationship between Australia and China, and the cultural study, the government, and then is I think probably 1981, I set about one agreement is the Chinese government and the Australia government set up a cultural agreement and then started to cultural trade. So I think it's 44 years already to get some. So at the moment, China is the number one in Australia business partnership, but Australia is the number 7 of the partnership with in China. Mm-hmm. So actually, I think is just a professor gave some research in text is very important to access, and we think about the city and the country, so work together in cultural influence index. So if everybody, some of interest in talk about this kind of the influence, this kind of topic, so we can discuss after the conference or seminar. We'll talk about this. So actually, I get this seminar talk about this. I didn't prepare some information. So if I get more information about this, I think I can provide more information about to give you more comments, more information about how to work together between the country. Thank you for everyone.
Okay, thank you. The questions and also comment. Frankly speaking, before I came over here, and I'm so much kind of interesting to see what's going on in China. Right? A lot of things going on. Of course, I didn't show today. I got a ranking on China too, whatever is available. I didn't show that on purpose there. There's ranking 6 on the whole of the world now, based on what I have.
whatever you show between China and Australia, and there's a lot of things going on, I pick it up. So I got just 100 data, anything comes out, even blog or newspaper, and especially in the research paper, they pick it up and they got to monetize. But I believe it's not all. That's why they only got a 6 in the world. Yes, but they have internal other data. That's what I'm looking for. If we improve that, definitely China will be a major country to influence the whole of the world. Yeah, you're right. I got that one, and that one, it did not by hand, it's by or more. Anything was in, anything comes out internet, they pick it up. Anything keyword the Chinese export, is involved other country, they pick it up. Okay, so go back to Professor Lin's subject in here. Only thing we didn't get, a lot of inside document, data, and the one, like I said, used to be all days, we have a human being, 4 or 5 people, they visited at all office, different city, people there are kind of collecting data, or survey and use that as a human data too. But these days, a lot of kind of tendency to use digital. So all I need, anybody can to say around API, just hook it up with API. Some data maybe cannot apply, but I can personally help you them to say, because ultimately they have to do, if you have a globalization, they have to have an API. Once you got API code, they will be every day, everything can hook it up, they will involve a data. If you feel like the kind of missing the data unfair, of course, that's what the committee member talking about it, to make it happen to improve it or involve those data too. That's our challenge too. And the Christian, what he said was, who is actually involved in this? That's what we are discussing about. This is not somebody personally owning on this index committee. I said the international committee. It doesn't matter where you go, because all is, you can sitting, we can talk, get together, actually face to face. It is all internet connected. Once committee comes out, who's going to learning, that doesn't matter. And definitely, I hope maybe that's what I call committee. The committee will be responsible to expose it, and anything comes up. Yeah. So we're gonna, of course, and not this session. Maybe we might be discussing after this session to in the person to person to. And so, well, what I suggesting was, and probably after this session I have to leave it. Afternoon we have another session, right? We have afternoon another session. We have the Professor Kim is maybe today or tomorrow got some session on case study on music education using GCIE, his case study. So she's gonna present that one, and after that, and I hope maybe we're gonna get another session. People, you guys leave, maybe just brief discussion about that. Yeah.
我再补充一个建议啊，非常简短，就是关于文化影响力指数的问题，我觉得是非常重要的一个问题。从我们艺术管理学界来讲，应该，我觉得应该有专人或者有专门的团队去研究这个问题，这是第一个建议，要把这个作为一个重要的问题去研究。第二个，要想办法在主要国家把文化影响力指数先建立起来，推动这个工作。第三个，在文化影响力指数逐步建立的过程当中，加强各个国家之间文化影响力指数的比较分析，从而形成一个在大的方向上大多数国家可以采纳的文化影响力指数。我就补充提这个建议。我觉得艺术管理国际联盟我们成员单位可以想办法在这方面做点努力。谢谢。
Yeah, this is a good suggestion, and we're going to take a look at it briefly again, and then to. So you guys see what his suggestion here to understand some of them. What his suggestion? Okay. Yes. Okay. Any other suggestion, questions? Okay, we got.
Let me make a comment.
Yeah.
I think particularly for the young people in the room, the students and the young researchers, I think capturing this sort of hidden value of culture has really been our challenge for many, many years. And I'm hopeful that an index such as this could bring us a little closer to that goal of capturing the missing data, capturing the missing impact, the missing influence of culture in our lives. Because I believe with Professor Lin, we undervalue culture, we undercount culture and its influence. So I hope that some of our young people, students and researchers out there, might be really interested in how they can contribute to helping that kind of work move forward.
Yeah. That's good. I'm not quite sure after we finish this all session and then until tomorrow, and might be just brainstorming. I'm just putting in there some kind of and the social media, which is like I'm just personally using LinkedIn, and I'm just making the LinkedIn session there. Only member only, maybe we don't have to open that with a LinkedIn case, or maybe some other case. Maybe we set it up some kind of discussion session chamber there, and then we can continue that, and I hope to do that. Yeah. Okay, Tony, you seem like another. Yeah,
I'm excited to ask.
Okay. Yeah.
Was it an AI American voice that we're using for your 6-minute video?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So just here's a cultural point. When I heard that voice, it made me not want to listen as an American. So it's not something you might want to use in other contexts. But one of the things that I sensed from his review, that voice, that sentiment, was that actually he was not so much what was going on within inside of Korea, but internationally there's a real sense that things are being measured incorrectly, and we need to fix this. And there was a sense of maybe a little anger or a little frustration. Can you maybe qualify that, what that anger and frustration is, and what are we trying to rectify there?
Well, actually, the script itself is not done by AI. I just made the script as a sample.
No, the voice. I'm talking about
Yeah, voice, because we have 100 different voices you can use. I choose the guy, a particular one, and sometimes they're using real more soft one, humorous voice, and then or academic voice, but this is kind of typically using that one. This is simple, of course. When we decide one of our signature videos comes out in the public, and that will be definitely not by me. This is all committee get together, and we agree that same tone, same and style and anything like that, and then we just agree that when it comes out. Yeah, this is just a sample. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But I'll say it's all done by less than 5 to 6 minutes too.
Right, but that's just the voice. That was really just a small comment. The real question I have is about this feeling or the sentiment I got from the video was that something was being measured very incorrectly, and that it needed to be fixed, and that essentially that the impact of what Korea is doing is not only we're not getting the money, but we're not getting the recognition for our cultural heritage. Am I correct?
That's why I told you to answer to your question that was a sample, is my own personal feeling there as a sample, because we have a lot of people talking about Cayman. This is using as a Cayman case. We got a lot of people interested. A lot of people come to the visit in Korea here, buying and all kind of souvenirs, and the travel come over here. There's a lot of things and hoopla going on. But now a lot of policymakers or investors thinking about it. Wow, that's great. And who's making money? And who's got a credit on it? And what we should do the next time? Kind of thing. So I just put him in there. My personal is incorrect. This is a real personal one. I'm just giving an example on that. So definitely you are right. Okay, that's kind of a little sentiment there. And if I said it's apology, but that's just a simple.
Okay, because the impact of culture is not necessarily a financial one all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I can tell you right now that my 6-year-old, all she thinks about is Korea, and the fact that I'm not going to be in New York with my daughter on Halloween. I'm actually in Korea. Is probably the coolest other place I can be than with her. So I've already laid out about, well, if you want to talk about financial impact, I just bought $400 worth of K-pop stuff I got to bring back to her, including my Saja Boy hat, and so I'm going to be killing it. So what I sense was actually very different than what I heard from the video, was that the impact of the K-pop demon hunters, perhaps not a directly financial one, is actually massive and huge and might have indirect benefits that I think are maybe not getting captured at this point.
Okay, good comment. I'd like to hear from, again, from floor. Anybody comment or questions, anything in the floor from Korea? Hey guys, just if I want to ask in the last comment, I'll say the comment. Any volunteer to do that before we wind up? Good, everybody good? Yeah, it's pretty much, we just less than 2 hours, and let's just wind up to our session. Maybe we got 10, 20 minutes again, and after we finish. So it's just probably discussing about this, okay? Thank you for so much interest. I didn't expect that much, everybody enthusiastic and really interesting on this. This is a good sign, and I hope, and we're gonna not just it's just kind of fresh in the pan, just gone away, and after this event, and we're gonna keep discussing about trying to keep continue some way, and then maybe we're trying to make other session or other meeting discussion, and comes out, and I will keep posted on that. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.